Seaports play a crucial role in supporting international trade, economic growth, and the overall development of a nation. Seaports are essential for international trade, as more than 90% of the world's traded goods are transported by sea. They provide the infrastructure and facilities necessary for the loading, unloading, and storage of cargo, enabling the smooth flow of goods between countries. The importance of seaports on an international, national, and regional basis extends beyond trade facilitation, as they contribute to the overall development of the marine and national economy. Seaports have a significant role in national defense. Strategic seaports can support military deployments and logistics during times of conflict or emergencies. They provide the necessary infrastructure and capacity to handle military equipment and supplies, contributing to the nation's defense capabilities. Two significant seaports that have played a role in Ethiopia's historical seaport access are Asseb and Massawa. After Eritrea's federation with Ethiopia in 1952, Asseb became an important port of entry for the southern and central parts of Ethiopia. It eventually handled 70% of Ethiopia's export-import trade, and became the site of Ethiopia's first petroleum refinery in 1967. Massawa is another port located on the Red Sea coast. Ethiopia's access to these seaports has been a matter of historical, geopolitical, and economic importance. The country's need for seaport access is driven by its desire to ensure trade routes and economic growth. Ethiopia lost its direct access to the sea in 1991 as a result of the independence of Eritrea and the subsequent Ethio-Eritrean War. Eritrea, which was previously a part of Ethiopia, gained independence in 1991 after a long struggle for self-determination. Following Eritrea's independence, tensions between Ethiopia and Eritrea escalated, leading to the Ethio-Eritrean War. The war lasted from May 1998 to June 2000 and resulted in significant casualties and displacement of people on both sides. As a consequence of the war, Ethiopia lost its direct access to the Red Sea ports of Asseb and Massawa, which were previously under Ethiopian control. These ports became part of Eritrea, leaving Ethiopia landlocked. The loss of seaport access had a significant impact on Ethiopia's economy and trade. Ethiopia had to rely on alternative routes and ports, such as Djibouti, for its import and export activities. This increased transportation costs and logistical challenges for Ethiopia, as it had to depend on neighboring countries for access to international maritime trade. Nations can acquire seaports and territories through various means, including purchase, diplomacy, and negotiation, and the use of force. In 1803, Napoleon Bonaparte, the ambitious French leader, found himself facing a precarious financial situation. His dream of building a vast French empire in the New World was under threat due to the enormous cost of maintaining and defending the French colonies in the Americas, particularly the territory of Louisiana. Realizing the need for a swift solution, Napoleon decided to approach the young United States of America with a proposition: the sale of the entire Louisiana territory. This vast expanse of land, stretching from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains, had been acquired by France in a secret treaty with Spain just a few years prior. Napoleon's decision to sell Louisiana was not an easy one. He understood the strategic importance of the territory, as it provided access to the valuable port of New Orleans and held the potential for immense agricultural and economic growth. However, the constant threat of war with Britain, as well as the ongoing rebellion in the French colony of Haiti, forced Napoleon to reconsider his plans. Negotiations between the French and American diplomats took place in Paris, and it was clear that both parties had a vested interest in the deal. On the American side, President Thomas Jefferson saw the acquisition of Louisiana as an opportunity to secure the western frontier, ensure access to the Mississippi River, and expand the nation's agricultural potential. After months of tense negotiations, the United States and France reached an agreement in April 1803. The Louisiana Purchase, as it came to be known, involved the transfer of approximately 828,000 square miles of land from France to the United States. The price tag, a staggering $15 million, which equated to about 3 cents per acre. Upon learning of the sale, the American public was both amazed and thrilled. The Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the United States and secured its future as a continental power. Similarly, the sale of Alaska from Russia to the United States took place in 1867. Firstly, Russia's interest in Alaska began to decline in the mid-19th century due to changing economic prospects and geopolitical concerns. The fur trade in sea otter pelts, which had been profitable in Russian America for many years, started to decline for ecological and commercial reasons. Secondly, the Crimean War, which lasted from 1853 to 1856, had a significant impact on Russia's decision to sell Alaska. During the war, Russia faced opposition from Britain and France, who wanted to weaken Russian naval power in the Black Sea. After the war, Russia faced growing resistance, and as a result, it sought to stabilize its relations with other countries. Russia and the United States, both having a shared dislike for the British Empire, were allies during this period. This alliance played a role in Russia approaching the United States with the Alaska deal. Negotiations for the sale of Alaska began after the United States stabilized following the Civil War. Russia sent a team of surveyors to Alaska to estimate the value of its natural resources, and they calculated its cost to be $10 million. Despite being advised not to sell Alaska, Russia informed the United States about the price it wanted for the territory. After negotiations, the deal was fixed at a price of $7.2 million. A combination of underestimation of the Eritrean People Liberation Front's capabilities, internal political instability, diversion of resources, and logistical challenges contributed to the failure of Ethiopian officials, particularly the then-President Meles Zenawi, to secure the Assab port during the 1991 independence of Eritrea. This failure had long-lasting implications for Ethiopia's access to the Red Sea and its economic and strategic interest in the region. The United Arab Emirates' military presence in Assab began in September 2015 when they built a port and expanded an airstrip. The base served as a strategic location for the UAE's military operations in Yemen, where they were part of the Saudi-led coalition. The United Arab Emirates used the Assab base to send troops and heavy weapons to Yemen, supporting the coalition's efforts in the Yemeni civil war. The Assab port also played a role in other military operations on the continent. Flights carrying military supplies to Libya, where the United Arab Emirates supported warlord Khalifa Haftar's Libyan National Army, appeared to depart from the Assab base. The United Arab Emirates' military presence in Assab allowed them to project power and extend their influence in the region. The Kingdom of Asseb, which existed from approximately 150 BC to 960 AD, had its hub in Eritrea in northern Ethiopia. Asseb served as a significant trading empire and had access to the Red Sea through ports such as Adulis and Assab. Adulis was an important port city during the time of the Kingdom of Asseb. It served as a major trading center, connecting the Aksumite Empire with various regions in the Mediterranean, Arabia, and India. Adulis played a crucial role in the trade of goods such as ivory, gold, spices, and exotic animals. Assab, located in present-day Eritrea, was another significant port city associated with the Kingdom of Asseb. It provided access to the Red Sea and facilitated trade between Asseb and other regions. Assab's strategic location made it an important seaport for the empire. Xyla, located in present-day Somalia, was an ancient port city that played a role in Ethiopia's maritime history. It served as a trading hub and facilitated commerce between Ethiopia and other regions in the Indian Ocean. Xyla was an important center for the export of goods such as frankincense and myrrh. Massawa, situated in present-day Eritrea, became a prominent port city during the medieval period. It served as a vital trade link between Ethiopia and the Arab world. Massawa's strategic location on the Red Sea coast made it a significant seaport for Ethiopia's trade and maritime activities. Djibouti, located in present-day Djibouti, has historically been an important port for Ethiopia. The city of Djibouti, situated on the Gulf of Aden, has served as a gateway for Ethiopian trade, providing access to the Red Sea and international shipping routes. The port of Djibouti continues to be a crucial lifeline for Ethiopia's import and export activities. It is generally believed that Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia leased the territory of Djibouti to France. This leasing arrangement allowed France to establish a presence in the region and develop the port of Djibouti as a strategic gateway to the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. In the late 19th century, France acquired the port of Obok in 1862 and established the French colony of Somaliland in 1888. Djibouti became the capital of French Somaliland in 1892. The French expanded their influence in the region by signing treaties with local Somali and Afar sultans, which allowed them to extend their protectorate to include the Gulf of Tadra. In 1897, a border agreement was reached between France and Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia, which defined the territorial boundaries of French Somaliland. The region was later renamed the French territory of the Afars and the Issas in 1967. The French had a significant influence on the development of Djibouti. They established a permanent French administration in Djibouti in 1894 and played a crucial role in the economic and political affairs of the region. Djibouti served as a strategic location for France due to its proximity to the Red Sea, the Gulf of Aden, and the Suez Canal. The French presence continued even after Djibouti gained independence, and the country maintained close ties with France. Today, Djibouti hosts various foreign military bases, including a United States Naval Expeditionary Base at Camp Lemonnier. In addition to the United States, several other countries have established military bases in Djibouti due to its strategic location. France maintains its largest foreign military base outside of its borders in Djibouti, hosting approximately 1,500 soldiers involved in counter-terrorism missions. China has also established its first overseas military base, the People's Liberation Army Support Base, strategically located near the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Germany, Spain, and the Netherlands have soldiers stationed in Djibouti, either through their own bases or in collaboration with French and American bases. Saudi Arabia has a military presence in Djibouti as well. Furthermore, India has expressed interest in establishing a military base, while Russia has shown interest but without official confirmation as of now. These countries recognize Djibouti's strategic importance and utilize their military bases to support various operations in the region. Somalia gained independence in 1960 through the federation of a former Italian colony and a British protectorate. However, Somalia has experienced significant political instability and conflict throughout its history. In 1991, following the collapse of the central government in Somalia, Somaliland declared its independence from Somalia. However, it is important to note that Somaliland is not internationally recognized as an independent state. There have been tensions between Somaliland and Puntland, an autonomous region in northeastern Somalia, over territorial disputes in the Sanog and Sul regions. Puntland is an autonomous region in northeastern Somalia. It became part of a united Somalia in 1960 with the independence and merger of the Italian and British Somaliland territories. Unlike Somaliland, which declared itself an independent state, Puntland has sought to remain a part of Somalia as an autonomous region, with the goal of reuniting the country as a federal republic. Following the collapse of the central government in 1991, Somalia descended into a civil war. In a memorandum of understanding signed between Ethiopia and Somaliland, it was agreed that Ethiopia would lease more than 12 miles of sea access at the port of Berbera for 50 years to the Ethiopian Navy. In return, Ethiopia would formally recognize Somaliland as an independent nation, making it the first nation to extend international recognition to Somaliland. The agreement is not legally binding, but could lead to an enforceable treaty between the two parties after extensive negotiations. Ethiopia lost its access to the sea when Eritrea seceded in the early 1990s, making it the most populous landlocked country in the world. Since then, Ethiopia has been using the port in neighboring Djibouti for the majority of its imports and exports. However, the high port fees charged by Djibouti have prompted Ethiopia to explore alternative options, including the port of Berbera in Somaliland. The agreement between Ethiopia and Somaliland regarding the use of the Berbera port dates back to 2005. In 2018, Ethiopia was supposed to acquire a 19% stake in the port, with the Emirati logistics company DP World holding a 51% share. However, Ethiopia failed to meet the conditions needed to acquire the stake before the deadline, leading to the agreement falling through. The recent memorandum of understanding between Ethiopia and Somaliland paves the way for Ethiopia to gain access to the sea through the port of Berbera. The port agreement between Ethiopia and Somaliland has sparked mixed reactions. Somaliland sees the agreement as an opportunity to gain international recognition and strengthen its economy. However, Somalia has strongly opposed the deal, considering Somaliland to be a part of its own territory. The Somali cabinet declared the agreement null and void and recalled its ambassador to Ethiopia for deliberations, claiming that the deal endangers the stability of the region. If the negotiations are successful, the future treaty could outline the terms and conditions for Ethiopia to lease a specific portion of the Berbera port for an extended period. This would provide Ethiopia with a crucial access point to the sea, reducing its reliance on the port of Djibouti and potentially opening up new avenues for trade and economic growth. The Memorandum of Understanding also includes the recognition of Somaliland as an independent nation by Ethiopia, which is a significant development. If this recognition is upheld and solidified in the future treaty, it could encourage other nations to follow suit, potentially leading to broader international recognition for Somaliland. Acquiring its own port is a natural aspiration for a landlocked country like Ethiopia, as it would provide direct access to the sea and enhance its trade capabilities. However, acquiring a port without infringing international law can be a complex task. Ethiopia can explore bilateral agreements with coastal countries to secure access to a port. These agreements should be based on mutual benefits and conform to international legal frameworks. Ethiopia can negotiate transit agreements with neighboring countries to ensure unhindered access to their ports. This would require establishing mutually beneficial arrangements that comply with international law. Ethiopia can seek the assistance of international organizations or mediators to help facilitate negotiations with potential port-owning countries. This could ensure that the acquisition process adheres to international legal principles. Kazakhstan, a landlocked country in Central Asia, faced similar challenges until it established a strategic partnership with neighboring Turkmenistan. Through diplomatic negotiations, Kazakhstan secured access to the Caspian Sea and established the port of Aktau. This allowed Kazakhstan to enhance its international trade and economic development. Ethiopia could explore similar diplomatic partnerships with neighboring countries to gain access to a seaport. Bolivia, a landlocked country in South America, lost its access to the sea during the War of the Pacific. However, Bolivia and Chile engaged in diplomatic negotiations and signed the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in 1904. This treaty allowed Bolivia to access the port of Arica, providing it with a crucial trade route. Ethiopia could explore diplomatic avenues, such as mediation or international arbitration, to resolve any territorial disputes or historical issues that may hinder its access to a seaport. The Hague's Arbitral Tribunal Bolivia, a landlocked country in South America, took its case to the International Court of Justice in The Hague to seek access to the Pacific Ocean. Despite the ruling not being in Bolivia's favor, the diplomatic efforts and international attention brought valuable visibility to Bolivia's cause. Leveraging neutrality and mediation, Switzerland, a landlocked country in Europe, has effectively utilized its reputation for neutrality and skillful mediation to maintain access to international waters. Through diplomatic efforts, Switzerland has secured transit rights, allowing its goods to pass through neighboring countries. Ethiopia can engage neutral third-party mediators to facilitate dialogue and negotiation between itself and countries that could potentially grant access to a seaport. Mediation can help bridge the gaps between conflicting interests and lead to mutually acceptable solutions. Ethiopia's population, coupled with its rich natural resources and vibrant agricultural sector, has the potential to drive robust economic growth. However, the absence of a seaport limits the nation's ability to engage in global trade and hinders its competitiveness in international markets. Establishing a seaport would provide Ethiopia with a direct gateway to global markets, enabling it to boost exports, attract foreign investment, and diversify its economy. Ethiopia can strengthen alliances with countries in the region that support its seaport aspirations. Ethiopia's aspiration to have its own seaport is driven by its growing population of over 120 million and the need for enhanced economic connectivity. However, achieving this goal requires careful navigation of diplomatic channels, particularly in relation to neighboring countries.